Hello, how are you?
Hi, good.
Good to see you.
You too.
Okay, girls. I love that we only have girls in here. This is awesome. It's like a business lead conversion class, and there's 0 dudes. So a couple new faces. So for those of you who have never met me, my name is Lizy Hoeffer. I've been a residential loan officer here in Phoenix since 2008, but I've worked in mortgages since 2002. So I've seen a lot of different economic climates, and I've also built my team up so we were the #1 female-led team in the whole country. Okay, and so, yes, very exciting. What I'm going to show you today are actually the strategies that I've used to grow my business, relaunch my business, pivot in my business. It works in any economy, any environment, and I promise you, if you learn to adopt the things that I will teach you, you will have great success in business. Okay, so there is a lot of information. Okay, so I'm going to teach you some basic principles, and then I want to open it up for Q&A. Okay, so just know that how you like this class really depends on how much you participate. Okay, so if you have a question, this is why you came. You raise your hand, you ask it. Let's get these answered or questions answered. Cool? Right, I love it. I can feel the energy. Okay. No, I actually really can't feel the energy, but now I really feel the energy. So thank you. All right. So I'm assuming everyone here has been in business for at least a year. Any newbies? Okay. How long in the business?
Like 2 weeks, but I've been a mortgage bank for 27 years, so it's
okay. Perfect. So you have a database.
Yeah.
Okay. New-ish. Okay. So a couple things that you need, okay, just for starters of the basics, is you need a database of 300 relationships, okay? And this is essential to having a referral-based business, right? So that you can make enough calls and have enough things to do, right? Because everything just boils down to activities. We cannot control what happens with sales. We cannot control who gets under contract. We have very minimal control, but I promise you, enough activities and enough leads will solve all of your problems. Okay? So, a 300-person relationship list means that on a scale of 1 to 10, you like these people greater than a 6, they like you greater than a 6, they have influence greater than a 6, right? 10 being the most, I should have referenced that. And that they're likely to use their influence to refer you greater than a 6, okay? So if they don't have 6s across the board, right, then they're not on the list, okay? At first, you may only have 75, or you may only have 50, okay? Then you know that your very first action item is to grow your database, okay? So how do we grow our databases? This is normally when I see like deer in headlights, but who has ideas on how we grow a database? Come on, girl. Shout it out.
Just go through all your friends, family, everybody you know. Make a list, like of everyone you know.
So I think the best place to start is actually your cell phone, okay? And I do the alphabet game. I'm just like, well, how do I know this person? How do I know this person? How do I know this person? And generally speaking, when I first started this, I only had 75 people. Okay, so I only had 75, I needed 300. But I had a list of people who almost met the criteria. And the criteria was I didn't know them well enough to know if they would refer me for business. Okay, so in that capacity, you will have a prospecting list, and then you will also have a marketing list. So people that you know, that you like, that you want to do business with you, but people we're not going to make like an extra effort to do coffee and business planning and birthdays and all that stuff. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you need 300 people, right, that you are in relationship with, that have influence, that are likely to refer you, that you like as well. Then you need a marketing list, and then you need a prospect list. Okay? So my marketing list has 10,000 people on it. It's a lot of people, but I've collected them for like 20 years. Okay, so my marketing list has a lot of people. My marketing list actually will generate somewhere between 100 to 200 deals for me a year, depending on the market. Okay, it's important to have a marketing list because it's important to have a marketing list that you market to. Okay, so there's that. I should reference that. Okay, now my prospect list is potential people that I'm gonna grow my 300 with, or that I'm gonna replace 300. Like, in an ideal world, we never lose a friendship. Everyone lives forever, and everyone can always refer you. Okay, but there are times when people like lose their influence, they retire, they get sick, you know, and so our database always has to be growing. Okay, so we will always need a prospect list. And again, guys, you want to make sure that the reason that they didn't make the list in the first place is because you just didn't know them well enough. Okay, we never want to do business with people we don't like. Okay, so I will tell you this. There are going to be people with tons of influence that could be great referral partners that might refer you. And if when you get to their phone, like number in your phone, you go, ugh, right? You will not make prospecting calls. Like, just generally speaking, you will just not do it. So it's super important that we train ourselves to like the activity, which means you have to work with people you like. Okay, and these are the boundaries. Okay, I used to be someone who would work with anyone, and let me tell you, that is a miserable business. Okay, so we only work with awesome people who can refer us, and there's plenty of those. Okay, once you have that, guys, I'm going to give you a recipe for prospecting, and if you only walk away with this from today's class, I promise you it's worth the money. Okay, so if you can make 60 great conversations a week and see 10 people a week and have 2 to 3 break breads a week, you will have a business that closes about 100 deals a year. Okay? Now, the 100 deals a year depends on your conversion skills, your follow-up skills, your negotiation skills, right? But you should be able to generate from that at minimum 2 leads a day. Okay? And 2 leads a day, guys, with minimal conversion is that. Okay? Now, how many of you, show of hands, and it's important to be vulnerable and authentic in a room where we're growing our businesses, okay, can tell me how many leads they've received this year? Okay? Okay. Here's the deal. If you cannot say how many leads you received this year, that's an aha. The very first sheet in this is called a lead tracker. I will tell you that the number 2 missed opportunity amongst not having an actual direct plan is that people do not track their leads. Okay? And they will get a lead. Here's what has happened. You will get a lead, you'll be super excited, you'll pass it on to your loan officer, and then you will expect that the loan officer will reach out to them, get them qualified, and send them back. If it was a perfect world and humans were like robots, that would work. Okay? But clients don't always answer the phone. Your loan officers are human, will make a mistake. And if you do not have a proper follow-up system, right, you will have that lead drop through the cracks. And then you will remember it a week later and go, oh my God, let me check with the loan officer and find out if they've called. Right? And then you'll find out that they dropped the ball, and then you'll be super pissed. But you also dropped the ball. Isn't that weird? Right? So this happens all the time. On a weekly basis, this now has to become religion. Okay? On a weekly basis, I review every single lead that came in from the previous week. Okay? And it doesn't matter if you have a team, if you're a solo person, your job is to disposition every single lead. Okay? We do not want unresponsive leads. Like, I want my unresponsive list to be as low as humanly possible. Okay? Here's how you get people to answer. And this is what I want you to train your people with. Okay? So, very first time you call, if they do not answer, you call directly back again, do not leave a voicemail. It's called a double dial. Okay? It is so important. Our phones now will send you to spam if you're not in somebody's phone unless you call twice, and they assume it's an emergency. So we want to bypass spam, get directly to the people. Okay? The other thing is, when somebody calls me twice, what do you think? It's important. Okay? Here's what you got to master saying. Oh my goodness, I was trying to leave you a voicemail. I'm so embarrassed. But hi, I'm Lizzie. I was supposed to call you about a home loan, or I'm supposed to call you about real estate. Okay? Now, when they don't pick up the second time, you can leave a voicemail, right? These are referrals or leads. Okay? Now, if it's a cold lead, here's how the voicemail sounds. Hey, it's Lizzie. give me a buzz, 480-593-4510. Click. Okay? You cannot leave any other information. If you leave too much information, they will not call you back. No one wants to be called back to get sold. Okay? When they call you back, okay, and you guys got to know this, so like if you're calling cold leads, you got to save their name and what they were looking for in your phone. So that way, when they call you back, the thing that you say is, Diana, I'm so pumped you called me back. You were searching XYZ property on my site. When would you like to go look at it? Just like that. Just like that. I'm so happy you called me back. Okay? Now, if it's a referral, you send on almost the same thing, right? Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you called me. Let's get your home, let me know a little bit more about your home search, right? So we're saying, I'm so excited you called, or I'm so excited you answered, I'm so excited you called me back. One factual statement about whatever they're looking for, and then an open-ended follow-up. 100% of the time. Okay? As salespeople, when you have clunky introductions, we lose leads right away. The clunky handoff will lose you leads. Okay? Now, let's say this person doesn't answer that. Okay? The next time you double dial again, and then you shoot them a text message. Hey, I'm so sorry we haven't connected. When's the best time to reach you? Just like that. Okay? Now, there are some leads, especially internet leads, okay, that it will take up to 8 times before somebody will call you back. 8 times. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this, right? They're busy. They weren't totally looking to get sold, right? They will need somebody who's persistent, right? And then they'll feel obligated to pick up your call, okay? So they show that the highest percentage of time when people are kind of cold is 8 times, okay? Now, who has a follow-up system in a CRM that allows follow-up at least 8 times? So 2 people. Okay, how many people follow up 8 times? Okay, your second aha moment from a database is I need a follow-up plan to contact leads up to 8 times, and I need a weekly review of all the leads I've received. Okay, and a weekly review is going to be week 1, I review all the leads from the week before. Week 2, I review the leads from the last 2 weeks. Week 3, I'm reviewing all the last 3 weeks. Week 4, I'm reviewing every single lead from the month, and I'm trying to disposition every single lead. Okay? Now, unresponsive leads for me go into my marketing list. Okay? And my marketing list gets a weekly video from me, right? Gets a weekly update from me on what's going on. They get a 30-day text blast from me. Right, so there's still a lot of communication, which is why that marketing list will generate so many deals a year. Okay, that is long-term follow-up. Cool? All right, so if you do not have a long-term follow-up for marketing, okay, that's your next step. Now, this is an example of a lead tracker. It's really easy. I like to keep everything simple. You can make tons of copies of this. If you'd like an extra copy of this, you can email my team, and we will send it to you, okay? When it comes to staging leads, just so you know, how many of you guys have CRMs? Okay, so most of you in the room have a CRM. This is gonna give you examples, just so you know, of all of the staging for loans and all of the staging for a pre-approval for you guys. You have to come up with different dispositions with different workflows, and a workflow is something that happens through automation that you don't have to control, right? If you have to remember every single follow-up and type up an email, it will take you too much time, you will get too overwhelmed, okay? So you can buy, just so you know, other people's workflows. So you don't always have to recreate the wheel on this stuff. It takes a very long time. There's tons of programmers. If you have like a ton of leads or you run a team and you're looking for an engineer, I have one. Again, email Kristen and then we'll get that to you. Okay. So but I do want you guys to know, like, I think that's an essential part. Is it the most crucial part? No, but eventually when your business gets bigger than having like 25 leads a month, it will be essential. Like it will be absolutely essential. Any questions on what we've talked about so far? Cool. Now, I've given you guys some examples of text messages and some examples of emails that will make people get off the fence, okay? So if I have an unresponsive lead, in addition to calling them 8 times, I actually email and text them, so 4 texts, 4 emails. And I'll have like text messages that'll be like, hey, have you stopped your home search? Have you given up? You know, or did I drop the ball on something, right? I'm really trying to guilt them into contacting me, is really the truth. But the thing is, it works. And these are strategies, again, to get people off the fence. And honestly, we could have dropped the ball. Like, there are times when people are like, oh yeah, I asked you to call me at 4. And you're like, I'm so sorry. Can we get a second chance? Like, how do I fix this? You know? And so those types of things help you understand holes in your own business. All right. How many of you guys know, well, I know you probably don't know because none of you guys knew how many leads you had for the year, what your conversion percentage is.
I have not that many leads. I think like 90%.
If you only had 3 leads and you...
I mean, everyone that comes to me as a buyer, I always close them as long as they qualify. But if not, I work.
I know, but that,
Okay.
so even if you had like 10 leads and one of them drops off, like it's still not 100%. And like if let's say someone doesn't qualify for credit, that still doesn't count as a pull through.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we want to figure out like a true disposition, you know, of all of your leads. So conversion means you got the lead and it closed. I always do this metric on a rolling 12-month average, not a year-to-date average, because there is something called a sales cycle. So the sales cycle in this market right now is over 200 days because people are interested in buying, but there isn't a huge amount of urgency due to the high interest rates. Okay, it was like 239 days, so something really long. So one thing I will mention about that is you should know what your own sales cycle is. So from the day that you get a lead, when does it close normally? And you want to make sure that your follow-up systems are the length of time of your average sale plus 30 days. Okay? Plus 30 days. And so that'll be like, oh, when do they need to get reapproved? When should I be updating their home search? Right? And then every single person who tells you that they are on hold for any extended period of time, you check in on every 30 days. Just want to check to see, I know you said you're holding off for a year, just wanted to make sure nothing has changed. Hey, I just wanted to give you an update on what's happening with the market for the area that you're knowing. I know you said you weren't buying for another year. I just want to let you know. 90, I would say 90%, although I just made that up, like almost all people that I've ever spoken to that said that they were like 12 months to 24 months just pulled that number out, like just to get me off the phone. Right? They don't really know how long, they just know it's not today, and they're feeling overwhelmed, and so they say that. Or they really did have a plan of waiting longer, but then they found out that they got qualified, and so now they've moved up their timeline. Okay? Another huge missed opportunity is not following up on people who told you not to follow up. Okay? So, things that you need to know: lead to close ratio, your fallout, how many leads did you actually lose? And then you also want to find out how many people you actually put under contract that didn't actually close to. Okay? It's really important to know how many leads that you're just, because what we're trying to figure out is how many leads do I need per week? Okay, and based on my skill set, right, how many of those will turn into appointments, and out of the appointments and listings and buyer contracts that I get, how many of them will actually close? Okay, so I know that I have to, for my team, have to pre-approve 20 people at minimum a week and get 8 contracts at minimum a week, right? In order to get 8 contracts, oftentimes I need 10 as the goal, right? Because people will cancel for all kinds of reasons. And a lot of times people will just get cold feet the second that they write an offer, and they get it accepted. Okay, when you pay attention to why people are canceling, okay, number one, you can improve your skill set, right? You can improve your processes, and you can change things about the business. If you don't know why they're canceling, right, you can't do anything about it. Okay? So back in 2020, a lot of deals would fall out because appraisals wouldn't come in because homes were selling for way over asking. And so one of the things that I did to combat that is I started giving people an A, B, and C strategy. I'm like, with lower down payments, with us paying their closing costs, we bumped up the rate. Like, where could I come up with an extra $5,000 to $10,000 to help them bridge the gap? You know, and what's important about that is, like, if I hadn't looked at this, I would have just lost more deals instead of being creative and solution oriented. A lot of clients really do get cold feet. They get buyer's remorse the second they're under contract. If you do not know how to successfully communicate with someone and find out, is this truly like a decision that they should back out of, or is this just fear? Okay, you're going to lose more deals. So this is very important. If you have deals that are falling out because the pre-quals aren't any good, this is another thing to look at. Okay, and then you want to evaluate lead sources. Like, if you never look at how many leads you got and how many of them actually responded, okay, then we don't know if we're paying money or doing the right prospecting activities. Does that make sense? All right. So we want to know lead to close ratio. We want to know the actual lead pull through, fallout, and then unresponsives. Okay. Any questions on this?
Are you tracking all your stuff just on the sheet, or are you doing it through your CRM?
I do it through my CRM, but this is the report I get.
Okay.
So I'm like pretty dialed in. Like, I want to know, and I review these metrics every single day. Okay? The reason I review them every single day is because I don't want to find out on Friday that I didn't hit my contract number. I don't want to find out on Friday I didn't hit my lead number. Right? If I look at it every day, I can make a pivot every single day. And I always operate under the assumption that I either win, lose, or I'm in a deficit. So if I lost the week before, I am making it up this week. What am I doing this week to make sure that the results match? Like, I am relentless on winning the game. Okay. This is what I call a VTO report. I pull this report every day so that way I see where I'm at. Okay. It doesn't have to be this crazy, truthfully. But like, when you run a team and you have multiple team players, it will have to look something like this.
Is there a handout? I don't think we got one.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, ladies. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Now, one other thing to consider is I like to break up my business in 12 weeks. So, and when I break it up into, 4 sets of 12 weeks, it allows me to get more done in a year. So a lot of times people will set business goals and they'll have like 5 different projects they want to work on in a given year. It is so difficult to execute this way. So what I'm going to advise you of right now is to create a simple roadmap for where your business is every single rolling 12 months. So it'll be a rolling year, and I want you guys to change when you think the new year starts. Okay? One big pivot that I did that had like huge difference to my business is I start my business like for 2024 October 1st, which means that in August I'm pulling all of my numbers. In August I'm reviewing all of my processes. In August I'm going, okay, this is what I did that resulted in these results. How can I improve my marketing for the next 12 weeks? How can I improve my prospecting for the next 12 weeks? And then what resources, trainings do I need to improve these things? And I look at the whole budget, I look at the whole account pyramid. I mean, I'm looking at everything. And then it takes me about a month to pull the data, guys. And then in September, I'm getting everything that I need, that I mapped out in August. And then by October 1st, I am executing. I'm sending out a letter of the heart. I am getting, for the holiday season, I'm sending out my pop-bys. I'm making phone calls. I am setting it up, and I work all throughout the holiday season. Okay? Most of your competition stops working in October. Most of them. Right? And so what's awesome is they stop working and you get maximum exposure because people are the nicest, friendliest, most willing to talk to you during the holiday season. Everyone. You can get any phone number, any address you need, because people think you're going to send them a Christmas card. Right?
True.
They do. I mean, and this is like why we do this. And if you get ahead of everything, right, then your business is already yielding results January versus everyone else who then starts. Okay?
Nice.
And that is a huge difference. Okay? Now, do not pick up more than one marketing and one prospecting. So, if you are not on a consistent dialing 10 people a day, right, to have 5 great conversations, that's your first thing. That's your prospecting, okay? Nothing will convert better than phone calls, period, the end, other than face-to-faces. Okay, but it is so hard to get 60 face-to-faces unless you are a professional networker. Okay, so that's why we lean on phone, number 1. So if you are not diligently calling 10 people a day, that's where you start. Now remember when I told you to do the alphabet game with your phone? So once every 12 weeks, I actually go through my account pyramid and we go through the leads that we got and we make sure that everyone still qualifies to be on the list. And then I plug in 10 people a day and then I make it a reoccurring once a month for the next 3 months. Does that make sense? So that way I'm not playing like, guess who I'm calling right now. Okay? So with calling, just so that you know, how many people love to make phone calls to people?
No one.
Okay. It's not easy, which means you have to make it as easy and as fun as humanly possible. Okay, so having it on your calendar is super essential. Okay, and one thing that will make it really easy is if you can, remember when I said you have to see 15 people a week? Is if you can host a weekly event, like host a happy hour, host a networking event, host something at your house, right? If you could do that once a week, it's easy to make those calls. Like it just is easy. Like if you had a women's networking group, would it be hard to call someone on a monthly basis to tell them about it? No. But if you don't, so that's one way to make it easier for you. Having it on your calendar makes it brainless. Okay? Does that make sense? Cool. Now, in marketing, I always do this. So I look at the metrics and I'm looking for lead conversion. I'm looking for my highest percentage of closings. What prospecting and what marketing yielded those results. Okay, that's where I'm going to put all of my focus. People tend to go with leads, okay? And leads is not the right direction because I've had lead sources that have given me a ton of leads and they don't pull through. So we get paid on closings, yeah? So we focus on closings, okay? I do pay attention to leads because leads cost me time and money to make sure that my time and money are being spent in the places that will yield me closings, okay? But I always do this. I always look at the areas that I'm winning in and then I go, how can I improve on this 30%? Okay, so I'm going to give you an example, okay? I have the best conversion when I see people face to face. If I can see people face to face, I'm just a better seller. People can get my energy, they get my vibe. I'm just a way better salesperson in person. Okay? And I noticed that when I met with more people, I would close more deals. So I started setting up more classes, more trainings, and then I started doing these things called a milk rep. Okay? So on your list of 300 people, you should identify at minimum 50 business people that you can meet with. So CPAs, attorneys, life insurance people, financial advisors, anybody in HR, anybody in recruiting, right? Nurses, anyone where you can go and visit them at their office. Okay? If they're qualified to be on the list, we know they have influence. Okay? And we know they're likely to refer. So this would look like, a milk art would look like, hey Mark, I wanted to stop by your office, I want to drop off something, and would you mind us meeting for a couple minutes, I want to go over something. So I'm going to drop off an item of value, I'm going to explain what the item of value is, why it'll help him, I'm going to answer any questions that he has, right? And we're probably going to meet anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes. I'm not trying to take a ton of their time, okay? If you drop in value, you can then say, hey, is there anybody else you think I should meet here? Like, does anyone else mention that they're looking for a home loan, or anyone mention that they're looking, oh my God, you know what? Let me take you to the break room. Awesome. Go to the break room. Hey guys, this is my loan officer. I love her. She's freaking amazing. So-and-so, you were thinking of talking about buying a house. I wanted to introduce you to her, right? We already know this person is a good networker, right? We already know that they're going to introduce us, right? My job is to just go meet the people, okay? And so a milk route, I can meet anywhere between 2 and 3 more people for the same one visit, okay? Sometimes I hit the jackpot and I meet like 10 people for the one visit. That happens, right? And a class is a really great way to leverage. But a milk route is like you go and have one specific meeting, provide value, drop something off like birthday cupcakes, and then go meet people. I've done this like at the maternity center, right? I had a client who was like a maternity nurse. And so I went and dropped off birthday cupcakes and she had me meet everyone. She's actually, and I have done 3 of her home loans, let me just tell you. And I have another one where the gal owns a company and there's a series of VA mechanics. Okay, and one of the things that I asked her, I said, hey, you own this company. I know that you mostly have veterans. Would it ever be possible for me to do a lunch and learn to talk about VA financing and the benefits of home ownership? She was like, oh my God, yes, please do that. I was like, whoa, that was easy. Seriously, it was like the easiest thing ever. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I have not done this more. I literally just did that a couple weeks ago. And so, and then these are things that then you could invite your partners to. Right? And it's another way for you to add value. Do you see how this works? Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. But these are the types of things that you will have to get scheduled on your calendar. Okay? So who am I doing a milk route with? Right? How many classes am I teaching? Who am I calling? And then this time has to be protected on your calendar. Another big mistake that I see professionals make is that they're willing to abandon their important items for what they think is urgent. So you will get a buyer call and you will dump all of your prospecting to deal with that buyer. Or you will have an issue because some loan docs aren't at title or whatever, and you will abandon your prospecting to go deal with that. Okay? I want you to write this down. So you have daily roadblocks. Okay? The job will never change. You will always have loan problems. You will always have client problems. You will always have double bookings for buyers, 100%. Okay? Now, if something is an emergency, okay, we want to take record of it. Emergencies, especially loan-related emergencies, are never really emergencies. You just were not proactive when you should have been. Okay? And if you can manage your pipeline 2 weeks in advance, which if you guys are working with Tay, she's excellent at it. And by the way, this is Tay. She is a TC here at my home group. Then you will never have a crisis during your prospecting hours. Okay? The other thing is, if you had 2 buyers who wanted the same booking, how would you differentiate? Okay? One easy way to control that is to give them an option close. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you want to go see that property I have from this time to this time. What works for you? Be in control of your calendar. You guys are making the mistake of just asking them carte blanche when they're available. Okay? Because the fear is that if you do not give them, you are not a 7-Eleven, guys. What if they said 10 p.m.? There are some of you in this room who try to make that happen. Okay? I'm not going to make you raise your hand, but also if that's you, write that down. You guys, we have to have some boundaries. People respect boundaries. You never go to an attorney and go, oh, I'm available at this time. They give you the list and you're waiting 30 days. Right? Have you ever tried to book an appointment with a dermatologist, a good one? Yeah. You don't get to be like, I'm sorry, I'm only available at 8 p.m. You're like, no. You literally have to wait 3 months and you get whatever booking until they have a cancellation. Okay, you know why? Because the dermatologist believes in their value, right? And they know that they only have so much availability. Provide so much value that you can be the 3-month waitlist person. Okay? But most of the time, people have no idea, and their expectation is not whenever they're available, just so you know. And if you set the wrong precedents in your business, you will always abandon your prospecting. You will answer calls until you go to bed. You will wake up first thing in the morning to check emails, and your life will be shit. Okay.
True.
Yeah. Okay, so we want to be in control of our calendar. I want your prospecting time to be from 9 to 11. Okay? Every single day. The 10 phone calls, the milk route, the everything. Okay? In the afternoons and in the evening times is honestly when clients are the most available. Okay? They have lunch hours and after work. You could control this. Okay? You could control this. And if you set in your time, like when you're doing an open house, when you're doing circle prospecting, when you're following up on things, you will actually have more work-life balance. Okay? In business, you can choose to be drifting, right? Driven or directed. For a very, very long time, I was very driven. I'd have a big goal, I would drive super hard. Someone would piss me off, I would drive super hard. Like, I just was always going until I was like so exhausted and felt super burnt out. Anyone can relate to that? And then you go to drifting, and you're like, man, I need a break, or, oh, you're like, oh, I should take a day off, and then one day off turns into 2 days off, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh my god, I have nothing in my pipeline, and then guess what? We're driven. Okay, because we got bills to pay. When you are directed, your life is super boring in terms of chaos, right? You're super boring in terms of chaos, and we are just driving forward. Now, I'm going to say something that has nothing to do with business. It's more about therapy. But there are some of you who thrive on chaos because your value system is about problem solving, and you will look for problems. If you start your day with emails, that is you. Okay? If you get validated by solving problems, this job is miserable. Okay? You want to prevent problems. So like being on top of your pipeline prevents problems. Okay? Working with professionals prevents problems. Your value is in executing and negotiating a deal, right? And being the legal fiduciary for your clients. It's not following up on their appraisals. It is not following up on their title work. You know what I mean? Like, you generate business and you represent these people. Like, wouldn't you be so pissed off if you like invested in a company and the CEO is spending all of their day in like not CEO tasks? Would you think that that business is going to be super successful? No. Like, if I invest in like Coca-Cola, right? It's one of the, if the CEO of Coca-Cola was checking his emails and following up on production, I would be like, you need to be fired. I would sell that stock so fast. Okay? When we are directed, okay, we know that our job is to generate leads, to convert leads, and it's to represent our clients in negotiating the best deals for them, keeping the deals together when they need us to, right? It's finding them the right professionals to work with. Okay? That's what the job is. It is not like you following up, which is why I recommend that, like, when you're consistently closing 2 deals a month, that you offload your transaction management to a person that's better suited, that's their job. Because then you will clear up extra time for what? More prospecting! You ladies get it! This is like what it's about. Like, I have freed up most of my day, right? Like, I check my pipeline once a day. It's never in my prospecting hours. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon. Just so you know this, 2:30 in the afternoon is the least productive time of your day. It's when your brain's kind of tired. So I normally go, I get an iced tea. This is like my thing. I get an iced tea. I sit down, I'm like, okay, hit me with the pipeline. Right? Because I want my least productive time to deal with my least productive things. Right? I have people I trust working on it, so they're going to give me 1 or 2 things that I need to be aware of. Okay, I will give them decisions. We're always 2 weeks in advance, so I don't have to feel like it's a crisis. Okay? Now, other thing to know is, outside of that being the least productive time, the most likely people will respond to you is actually 4 to 6 if you're going to make dials. But the most accurate time to get people off the fence, the most time when they're willing to make a decision, is between 7 and 9 a.m. So if you need something from someone, it's 7 to 9 a.m. I know, it's like kind of crazy, but like whenever I need conditions and someone is not responding, I call them at 7 in the morning, twice. And I will tell you that most of the time they answer, and by 9 a.m. I have what I need. So people are the most alert with the most willpower first thing in the morning. They are the most talkative between 4 and 6 and the least likely to make a decision because they are decision fatigued. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a prospecting escalation, right, like I did with, and marketing escalation like I just did with prospecting. So you saw that like me face-to-faces, I learned leverage events and the milk route. Did everyone get that? Mm-hmm. In marketing, I started off with a newsletter, and that newsletter was just giving like what the rates were and the road closures for the weekend. It started as a Friday email. Okay, but then I started getting agents asking me market questions in this, and I was like, oh, okay, well now I'm going to throw market information, interest rates, and the road closures, right? Because I'm trying to give people, and this was before like you had like the MapQuest thing that told you what the road closures were. So this is like when people were looking it up in the newspaper. I know, isn't that funny? It was like 10 years ago.
So weird.
We used to look them up at AZ Central, and then my value add was how do I make this easier for them? Okay, why would somebody open up my email? Okay, so that, I should have started with that. So the road closure thing made it easier for them, knowing what interest rates were for them to know in the car, right? Then they wanted to have market information. Okay, so then it became market information, rate information, and then how to sell the market information. Like, hey, what does a buyer need to know? And then that turned into the newsletter plus the YouTube channel. And then that turned into the newsletter, the YouTube channel, and now Instagram posts, right? And now that's turned into the newsletter, the YouTube, the Instagram posts, the stories, and then TikTok, right? But every 12 weeks, I'm just adding to the thing that's already working. And for a long time, it was just improving the newsletter. It was just improving the newsletter. Now, I've taken some time off with my business, and so I couldn't just get back to doing every single marketing activity. So what did I do? Guess. I started with the newsletter.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? I started with the newsletter because that impacts 10,000 people. Mm-hmm. Now I'm back up to doing the YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. Okay, I still couldn't do individual content for Instagram. So I said, hey, can you cut up this long YouTube video and make it Instagram content? Okay, right? So I'm looking at ways on how do I get back, right? But it starts with the thing that's working. How do I improve on it? 30%. And then if you do that consistently for every 12 weeks, you will get a lot done. Like in one calendar year, I will have gotten back a newsletter, a YouTube channel, an Instagram account, and TikTok. Okay, now if I try to do all 5 at once, do you think I would execute well? No, it's impossible. You only have so much time and you have to get in a rhythm of building. Here's how that works for me though, just so you know, because it sounds like a lot of stuff. The newsletter is the script and the foundation for whatever the YouTube video is going to be. The YouTube video now gets cut up into Instagram. Now I will have a theme week in which I will build stories on top of, and that's how it goes. And now the YouTube shorts are the same thing that I put on TikTok. Okay, so I am building everything from the newsletter, and I'm not trying to recreate the wheel. And so my messaging will last like 1 to 2 weeks for the same thing. Okay, that's how you efficiently get a lot of things. If you want to be the person with different content every day, it's very difficult. We are not content creators. I do home loans for a living. You do real estate for a living. Like, we already got day jobs, you know? So we want to make it as simple as possible. I record videos the same exact time every single week. So on Friday afternoons, that's when I record a video. I get it to my editor edits it, and on Wednesdays I post. Okay? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. You have to, every single time, it's one prospecting, one marketing. And then because you do a review, like on a monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis of your leads, you'll also do a quarterly basis. And then what we're going to look at is why did we lose leads? Why haven't we converted? Okay? If you are not in a habit of recording videos, I would suggest that you start, because the number one thing that will prevent you from closing deals is scripting. Like, you won't have enough information or have practiced enough information to be able to talk efficiently for people. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so script practice is always really challenging, I find, because you're like, who do I do script practice with, right? So I do script practice in my car often. I'll just repeat what I'm going to say in a video over and over again. But the recording the video actually is enough script practice for you to be able to say it again. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Here is a good breakdown, a good framework for video. Okay? Get one problem that your client has, a branded solution that you come up with, and a call to action. So for me, let's say I work with first-time homebuyers. They need to save up money for a down payment. That's their problem. My branded solution is a budget plan called Smart Sense, which teaches them how to save a down payment within 36 months. Okay? My call to action is download the budget guide on my website. That website is a lead capture. I get their name, their email, and a phone number. Mm-hmm. And then they get their budget guide. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I don't have to do anything other than that. It's a great video, and I've practiced enough times of how to teach people how to save a down payment in 36 months. Okay? Now, I'm getting script practice, so I'm improving my skill set, right? But I'm also creating marketing, okay, that I can put out that will help me generate leads. It is super important for you guys to have good marketing, especially on social, because we have such large databases, okay? And you're not calling everyone every single day, and and you're always trying to grow the list, right? And so when people see you all of the time, believe it or not, they feel like they know you and have talked to you, they know what's going on in your life. And so when you call them, they'll be like, oh my God, I just saw your blah, blah, blah on social media. Do you think that that will make your conversations more enjoyable? Mm-hmm. Right? What video? Oh my God. And then you've already practiced what to say, so you just say it again. Right? So you always have to have the prospecting, the marketing, and the skill refinement. How are you going to develop those skills? Now, let's say conversion was fine in terms of scripting, but maybe you don't have a CRM. Like, that would be a tool to get. So you want to look for one tool or one skill set upgrade, like training. And you work on those 4 things, okay? And one additional thing that you can do is track your roadblocks, and I think I forgot to mention this. So when we have roadblocks in our day, that's another thing that you can do, is so I track every emergency. And I know that an emergency, guys, has to do with a system I have not set up. Okay? An emergency can also be a personnel issue, right? So sometimes I have somebody who interrupts my day because any kind of issue is a crisis for them. Okay? So it's either a system issue or a personnel issue. Okay? Then we will have interruptions. Okay? So if you have a team, you have interruptions. Okay, so you have to deal with, okay, so I had an urgent issue, then I had an interruption, and then we also have a straight up roadblock. So someone didn't complete something, or I need something in order to complete my task. Okay, if you evaluate those on a daily, weekly basis, so I keep track of those, and on a weekly basis I look at them, I can go back in systems and figure things out. Okay, so like for instance, yesterday, I got a call from an agent that said, hey, we're supposed to be closing today. Okay, my system is I look at the pipeline for every 2 weeks. This loan was fine, loan doc's out. I'm just like so confused. I'm like, oh my God, let me stop what I'm doing. I stop what I'm doing to find out that everything's fine. Okay? The issue is the wire hadn't gotten to title yet. Okay? And because it can take all day. Monday was a holiday, and you have all of the wires from Monday that will delay Tuesday's fundings. And I thought, okay, this really hijacked me. It was an emergency. I stopped what I was doing. Okay, and so my agents know this. that from 9 to 11, they're gonna have to text me if they wanna reach me. And I'll look at the text and I'll tell them when I can call them, or I'll stop what I'm doing like that and be like, oh my God, I gotta call you. Okay? What could I have done in that situation to prevented a call like that?
Tell her that it was gonna be delayed because of the holiday.
Yeah, set up the expectation with your agents that.
Yeah, a Monday email
Mm-hmm.
could have gone out that said, hey guys, happy Juneteenth. Just to let you know, today's a federal holiday and tomorrow wires might be delayed.
Mm-hmm.
Today's a federal holiday?
Monday was.
Monday was.
Monday was?
June.
Yes.
That's why the banks were closed.
Yes, so Monday was, right? So that could have been very helpful, right? Like, that would have been super helpful. And so, like, we sometimes feel like an emergency is outside of our control. Like, somebody might have looked at that situation and been like, I don't know what you could have done, right? And the thing is that all that ended up happening is afterwards is I was like, hey, let me teach you the wire process just in case this ever happens again, just so you know what questions to ask, you know, because I think my team does a really great job and we would have alerted you if there was something that was wrong, right? But the thing is, it totally did hijack me and set me down the whole thing. And not only did it hijack me, I hijacked my processor and made him stop whatever he was doing. And then we hijacked our funder, right, to get us a Fed reference number. We then hijacked her from what she was doing. And so it's not just me, I hijacked 3 other people with me. And then for like 30 minutes until all of us could get to communicate and find a Fed reference number and do all this stuff. Like, think of how much productivity is lost, and not just me, 3 people. Okay? And this stuff will always happen, so I know that it will always happen, but I could have done one thing to make it not happen. Okay? And when we focus on those things, we have fewer of those things, which means that our jobs are way more enjoyable. Cool.
You probably still would have gotten that call, even if you would have told them on Monday.
You know what, maybe not, I don't think this particular agent, but there's always something that you could do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like there was something else too, like, you know, the morning of, I could have also checked to make sure the docs were back, right? Or hey, like there's always something you can do. Like there's always something. Like I want you to know that if you believe that there is no solution, there will be no solution. If you believe that the market is your problem, the market will be your problem. Your attitude about things is a magnet and an amplifier to your results. Okay? I believe that I'm going to succeed in any environment possible, and that if I focus on how to improve, I will improve, and if I focus on eliminating my roadblocks, I will have fewer roadblocks. Okay? Is it foolproof? No. But like, you know, it is something. You know, the other thing I actually thought about is how do I get my wires ordered the night before? Right? That was another thing I thought about. I'm like, okay, I pinged my underwriting manager and I'm like, hey, can this be possible? I don't know if it is, but I'm just finding out because that would be nice to never have to worry about that. To be able to send an email the night before saying, hey, the wire's been pre-ordered. Like that would make me separate me from the rest. Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But when you're thinking of the roadblocks, you're like, God, this is what, and then this is your new value proposition. Okay. All right. What questions can I answer for you guys in the last couple of minutes on this? Because we've been through a lot. We've been through what you need in database. We need prospecting schedule. We talked about prospecting strategies, marketing strategies, and metrics. Okay? This is a lot of info.
What do you use for your CRM? Is it referral maker?
Salesforce.
Salesforce?
I run a pretty big team. So at one point I had 30 people on my team. So I require a more robust database for you guys. I would say Follow Up Boss is my favorite of all the CRMs, and it connects with YLobo. Outside of that, honestly, that's my favorite one.
Follow us.
Follow Up Boss, yeah.
Can you say what those connections were again? You said 60 great conversations a week and then
10 face-to-faces, and then 1 to 3 break breads. And a break bread could be coffee, guys, it could be lunch, it could be dinner. Okay, happy hours I don't think totally qualify as a break bread because it's really difficult to have an intimate conversation with like 10 people. Mm-hmm. You know, like if I'm going to a party, I'm probably considering that a face-to-face, but if I'm having like a conversation with one person, I'll add that as my break bread. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. We want to get as honest as possible about our activities, because if we're honest, then we can always change and improve.
Is your team based out of Scottsdale?
No, my team's based out of Phoenix, but we work everywhere.
Everywhere, okay. So if we wanted to use you as a lender, you'd probably give us to one of your teammates.
Here's how I operate. So I generally like that you guys do a group text with me on a lead. And then that way I can sell you. And then I would match you with somebody on my team that you would work with.
Okay.
But if that person's not available, then I would handle it.
Okay.
And I just want to say, she's not paying me to say this. I work hundreds of files a month, and Lizzie's team is the best team I work with. I'm not
Okay.
kidding.
So
Like,
they're all good. You're saying, like, don't
Yeah.
fear that you're gonna
Oh,
be
yeah.
like, I want to use Lizzie. She's
Yeah.
amazing, and then she like hands you off.
No, they're the best.
To the B team.
Yeah. She's too busy for us.
Look, I want to be honest, I cannot contact
No.
every single person,
No.
but my team is really great. And I do try really hard. So like if you ever had a question on a pipeline, you would contact me. I could see anything. If you don't like the person that you were working with, we'd switch it up. Like we're very open to feedback and we just want to be the best.
I need more. For me, it's about communication. That's what I like the best. Is when
Yeah.
she's constantly communicating with where we're at.
Right.
On the file.
Okay.
And like remember when I said that I want you guys to follow up on, we follow up on every lead 16 times and we update you every single time.
Okay.
And like the second that you do that group text, I will respond back with, oh my God, you're so lucky to be working with Diana. She's an amazing real estate agent. You're in awesome hands. I'm honored she referred you to me. When's the best time for my team to reach you? And then you know it's immediately contacted.
Okay.
And then your client normally responds back with when. And then that's like a really good segue. So I've sold you, you've sold me. Okay, what other questions? Okay, well we are right at time, guys. I'm gonna stay a couple minutes after. You're welcome to ask me any questions, but if you did get some valuable information out of today's class, I hope it is worth your next referral. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind signing, I don't know who else signed on this.
Yeah, if you get signed in,
Wonderful.
guys, we'll follow up with you on the
Yes.
stuff that I sent.